I have skills
A very specific set of skills.
that no one wants to pay for.
Idiots. Idiots everywhere.
Rude. Welcome to 2 Men in English Major, the show where a woman with 2 literature degrees attempts to educate 2 clueless men about the story everyone says they should read. Hello, I am Jordan. I am the friend.
Hey, I'm Ben. I'm the husband.
And I'm Lynn, the English major. This week, I have spent a large portion of my time and energy going insane.
Only this week?
Wait, how can you go somewhere you already are?
Today I'm going to Macondo in Colombia.
Gesundheit?
Don't make fun of Spanish.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yes.
Hmm.
So we're in a place today where we're going to be reading or talking about 100 Years of Solitude. And I have a lot of disclaimers and opening statements about this one.
Oh, I
Because
see.
as I was doing my research on it and taking notes, there were a lot of things I realized about our format that just aren't going to work with this book. So we're going to have to adjust a little bit. First of all,
Yeah.
what do you guys know about this book?
Absolutely nothing.
Never even heard of it.
We are going in completely 100% blind.
That sigh says everything the audience needs to know.
Yeah, probably.
It says that I started a podcast with 2 white men.
No, 2 idiot.
Oh, well, yeah. Is there a difference?
On occasion.
Sometimes.
Well, I hope I can do this book proud. It is definitely one that I go into with a lot of caution, in that it is like the foundational work of Latin American postmodern literature.
Oh boy.
And
Oh
my
my.
professor from undergrad uh, won't kill me if I get this wrong, but she might deny me good Mexican food for a while.
We
Which,
can't have that.
No,
well, which knowing her, that is a fate worse than death.
it is.
Yeah, no, that wasn't a joke. We cannot have that.
No,
No.
we can't. She is so. Shout out to Dr. Lisa Anacosta, who practically raised me for the 3 years I was at North Park against her will. Um, she is my Puerto Rican auntie. She was the head of the English department at the time. Now she is the dean of academics at the school I went to. And she and I still text each other all the time. We still keep in touch. And she introduced me to the world of Latin American literature because she is an immigrant from Puerto Rico. She writes Latina theater, and she's been part of a lot of theater groups. Her background is in world literature and theater, and she kind of influenced me to be who I am. So we adore her, and I want to make sure that she knows that this is my attempt at making her proud.
I
Hmm.
mean, I'm just along for the
You
ride.
This is also the first book on our list that I have never taught in a classroom before. So I figured I would loop it in pretty early in our roster so that I could get some practice with books, like the research process of books that I have never taught, because that's
by
new for me.
teaching
Well,
these 2 dumbasses.
Yes,
Yeah, good. Good idea.
maybe someday I could use this podcast as a resume.
oh dear God.
I mean, with a lot of warnings, maybe.
Hmm.
Uh, sure. Making literature relatable is definitely a skill that they look for.
Well, considering the teaching environments you've been in and the prefaces you just gave, yeah, I can see why you've never taught this book before.
Also, this is not a book that you would teach in high school. Just flat out, this is not something you would teach in high school.
Fair.
Well, now I'm just morbidly curious.
You should be. Um, there are a couple of quotes about it that have been like I watched upwards of like 15 YouTube reviews on this and analyses, and I went back and reread my notes from it and looked at all sorts of different sources. So this book is very much in my head at the moment. I will still probably botch several things from it, but we'll do our best. Um, there are a couple of quotes about this book that come up a lot. The first one is from William Kennedy, and this is the first piece of literature since the book of Genesis that should be required reading for the entire human race.
Damn.
Quite the endorsement.
Indeed. And Pablo Neruda, who is known for his poetry, said that this is the greatest revelation in the Spanish language since Don Quixote of Cervantes.
Again. Damn.
Yes.
Wow.
This is like this is one of those books that definitely is in the top of those 100 books to read before you die lists. And I can see why. It is extremely important. It has so many important themes about humanity and the human experience, and the problem is that you almost need to have a literature major next to you while you read it explaining what's happening.
Well, I'm in luck.
Oh, congratulations.
We're just going to force feed it to you, Jordan.
The internet is a
Great.
magical place.
So this book was written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who was a Colombian journalist in the 1950s and 60s. He had written one other book before this point, but he was not very famous. And his family was on the brink of poverty. They were struggling. And then this is totally the story of inspiration hitting in a flash. Like, he got this wave of inspiration while his family was headed on a vacation, and he actually like had his whole family turn around so he could go home and write.
Alrighty.
Okay. I mean, on the one hand, dedication to the craft. Two, there's going to be some upset relatives.
You do what you got to do to earn money, man.
Fair.
He's a native of Colombia, and one of the things that they really wanted, or that he really wanted to highlight, was that in high literature and like studied literature, the storytelling conventions of native peoples and especially Latin American peoples was not, it was kind of frowned upon. And so this was his blend of storytelling conventions from his culture and his people being brought into like academic high levels of literature.
Interesting.
All right.
It was published in Spanish in 1967 and then translated into English 3 years later. He waited 3 years for a specific translator because he wanted it done by this particular translator who was recommended to him. And he even pointed out a couple of years later in an interview, he said that the translation elevated his story even more and he almost liked it better than the original Spanish.
That's high praise.
Yep. So it was heavily endorsed for translations. It is hard to describe this book. I'm going to openly say right now, this is probably going to be one of my more difficult episodes for me on my end, because this book is one that we are getting into postmodern literature. What do you guys know about postmodern literature?
It makes my brain hurt.
Yes.
Yeah, there is that.
That's a gross oversimplification, but that's
Okay, so what do you know about the eras of literature?
not very much. That's kind of your wheelhouse.
Has anyone ever explained to you the different eras of lit and how like literature has its own eras that it kind of in a timeline it kind of goes through?
Yeah, about 20 years ago in high school.
Okay. Jordan, what about you?
Yeah, you did when you were doing your thesis, but not since then.
Okay. So essentially, the way literature gets categorized a lot of the time is by when it was written. So we've talked a little bit about like ancient English literature with Beowulf. Elizabethan literature with Shakespeare. There's the Romantic era, which we'll get into eventually. They're fun. There's Modernist, which is like the Gatsby era. And then there is Postmodernist. Postmodernist is essentially anything written after World War II. And it's got specific categories. So each of these types, like all literature has been written in all different times, but there are certain characteristics that make it a part of that category. So postmodern literature, like I could write a book today and it wouldn't be considered postmodern literature, even though it's in the right time period. I would have to give it certain characteristics for it to be postmodern literature. Does that make sense?
Kind of. Wouldn't it be postmodern?
Contemporary is what we call it right now.
Gonna need a new moniker pretty soon for that, but all right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, we can't call it modern because that's before World War II.
Yeah, words are dumb.
Words are complicated.
They are.
So postmodern literature, books and stories and poetry that falls into this category have specific like features to them. And it doesn't count unless it has those features. So it's things like playing with meaning and the meaning of words, and specifically like the grammar and syntax of what you are writing. So it's taking how something is written and breaking some of those conventions, and breaking the conventions of traditional storytelling, of traditional expectations. Postmodern literature is all about finding meaning in things that traditionally in English we would not care about.
So it's all about like, these are the rules, now we're throwing them out the window and making our own.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're not doing something like that, you're just writing a story. It's not postmodern literature until you've done something unconventional with the rules.
Until you've defenestrated them.
Sure.
There's my big word for the day.
I know it won't be the only one. So for an easier example, E.E. Cummings wrote a lot of postmodern poetry. And his poetry was all about not necessarily the words that are being written themselves, but the fact that he didn't use capitals or punctuation anywhere in his poetry.
Oh, that makes my eye twitch.
So it's all about the reader has to engage with it and come up with where are the pauses, where are the pieces, and the reader puts meaning into it that way. Postmodern literature is very much about you as a reader engaging with it and you finding meaning in the writing. The authors don't just hand you the information.
That sounds like a lot of work, but okay.
It is, but it's very rewarding work.
I'll take your word for it.
The problem is that when you come to something like this, it makes this podcast really hard because you guys aren't reading the book, so you're not doing the work of putting meaning into it.
No, that's your job.
Exactly. So some of the things that we're going to cover here, some of the major themes of this book, it really covers everything. It's kind of hard to say, well, here's the main themes of this book, because it has everything. It talks about love, it talks about family relationships, fate, the passage, the inescapable passage of time. There's political turmoil. It's also kind of the history of Colombia in a very small, reflective piece. Some would say it's the history of all of Latin America.
Wow.
And it's also about cycles and the cyclical nature of human history, how people who don't learn from their past are doomed to repeat it. Or if you don't understand your past, you are going to continue living in it. There's a lot about time in this book. So it follows the story of a family, the Buendia family, from their founders when they found this town until 7 generations later when the family's wiped out. And
that's unfortunate.
We'll see. We'll see if you still have that opinion later.
Meant to be ironic with the last name?
Yes, it is.
So the last name being, yeah, okay.
And they have all the good intentions of the good morning. But the sun eventually has to set.
Somewhere in there, there's a joke about the road to hell being paved with good intentions, but
yeah. So, because this is postmodern lit,
Let me guess, the plot makes no real impact.
I'm not sure there is a plot.
So is it similar to stream of consciousness in that it's just all kind of being thrown at you and it's up to you to make sense of it?
Not quite. There's definitely like a timeline of what's happening, but I wouldn't call it a plot.
Okay.
It's almost like a lot of smaller plots mushed together, cut into smaller pieces, thrown in the air, and then rearranged to make a mosaic.
So it's like A, B, C, but A parts of A, B, and C may all be happening at the same time
Yes.
while you're reading, and it's
Yeah.
up to you to separate out
Yes.
which one
So it's
goes
like
where.
somebody loaded a textbook into a shotgun, pulled the trigger, and said, "All right, have fun."
Yeah, kind of.
Oh boy,
Okay.
So, splatter paint literature.
that's going on a
The
T-shirt.
Jackson Pollock of literature. Gotcha.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I love this book. I cannot explain to you why I love this book.
Beautiful in its insanity. Okay.
Yep.
As someone who had to write a final paper on Jackson Pollock, yes, Jordan, that was the exact proper description of his work.
Yeah.
I was an art major.
Yeah.
Was.
Now you're a bus driver.
And the road to get there was long, and anyway, that's not.
It's all good.
That's not for tonight's episode.
So, I am going to say too that this is the first time I'm actually going to say spoiler warning for sure, because I highly recommend actually reading this book. If you are interested in this book, if you want to spend time with this book, if anything we've said so far sounds interesting to you, stop here, go read the book, because
Don't hear that very often.
it is beautifully written and it is an experience. Trying to summarize it here and riffing with you guys, I fully understand neither of you are going to read this book at any point in your lives. It's just not in the cards for you. But after watching all of these analysis videos and finding all these different tidbits and pieces, I'm sitting here going, I'm going to go read it again, because this is truly it is a very important. I highly recommend reading this piece of literature at some point. That is not to say it doesn't have some very questionable subject matter. It definitely does. But as a reflection of humanity and life and families, it makes sense that it would have questionable subject matter.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I get
So
that.
instead of trying to do a full-blown linear plot, I'm going to start with some key things to note and then try to go through the different family generations.
Okay.
I
Okay.
have a family tree that I will pull up on the screen for the two of you, but I will also put it on our Facebook page for anybody who is following us and wants to see. Because the family tree really helped me. Considering everyone in this family has the same 4 names.
Oh
So
dear.
it's like the Targaryens in A Song of Ice and Fire.
It's Hispanic Targaryens.
That's a
Oh
terrifying concept.
no.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I guarantee you George R. R. Martin got some ideas from this book.
The man, well, he doesn't have any original ideas of his own, so.
This is true.
Sorry, I have strong opinions about him.
Yeah, we'll get into those on another episode. So we're going to start with our setting. Our setting is a fictional city called Macondo, which is a microcosm of Colombia. It's set somewhere in Colombia, but it is very isolated to start. It's literally just the two lead characters in the first generation of the Buendia family at first. But then people start finding it and they develop a small town. And eventually, as time goes on, it gets exposure to the outside world, which essentially takes this nirvana isolation and destroys it. Very simplified version of what happens.
Well, I mean, no isolated settlement ever survives contact with the outside world.
No, it doesn't.
They call it a city of mirrors, and that's that is very much a motif throughout the book, is mirrors and reflections. And the city is meant to reflect what is going on in Colombia throughout these years. So it
Ah.
starts off very idealized, very like set apart. There's lots of like highlighting the nature and the surroundings. My Disney fans, if you are listening, I promise I will get to what you recognize at the end of this.
Oh, wait a minute. I know where this is going.
They may end up recognizing it before the end.
Really the only interaction they have at the start of the novel is a group of Romani travelers go in and out of this city all the time, and they bring inventions. So these inventions are things like telescopes and ice and flying carpets. Because, oh, by the way, did I forget to say this is magical realism?
You did. Because one of
Yeah,
those things
yeah.
was not like the other two.
Yeah.
Um, so, magical realism is a genre that takes the magic and the fantastical and makes it mundane. It switches it with the mundane. So, like, characters in magical realistic fiction don't care about the magic that's happening around them. They treat it like every day. It's also set in realistic settings. So, like, real world places.
Well, that kind of kills the whimsy, but all right.
That's almost the point. Because it tries to make the things that are mundane seem more whimsical by comparison. So, by making the magic stuff less exciting, the everyday stuff becomes interesting.
Hmm.
Um, so like the main character, like the Romani people are bringing in all these inventions, and a flying carpet is more boring than things like ice and telescopes that are real things we actually know about.
Huh.
Um,
Interesting.
and with magical realism, it is a genre that came out of a lot of different places kind of simultaneously. So, Latin American literature, Eastern European literature, Jewish literature, a lot of those places have dabbled in and created magical realism because it is very much about that tension between an oppressed people and an oppressive people. So, a lot of colonized people, a lot of
Oh,
nations
okay.
that have dealt with being oppressed tend to write this kind of literature.
So basically, anywhere the British Empire landed between 1600 and 1800.
Unfortunately, yes.
Got it.
So that's kind of our setting. Now, the next thing to take in mind is the timeline of this story. The problem,
Let me guess, it's a Mobius strip.
yeah, kinda. Um, the author is constantly pushing forward to reflect backwards.
Eh.
Um, so the whole story is told with a lot of later this happened or years later this
Oh
happened
dear.
that all indicate, and whenever you see that phrase, it means that someone is about to remember something.
It sounds like every story my great aunt used to tell.
Exactly.
No.
Because it's a
Uh,
storytelling convention that's being brought into high literature. So it's a very familial storytelling thing. The opening sentence has been analyzed to death. And it says, many years later, as he faced the firing squad, Colonel Aureliano Buendia was to remember the distant afternoon when his father took him to discover ice.
So you're literally starting the beginning at the end.
Oh, this isn't even the end of the story. This is like this event that we're talking about as he faced the firing squad is like in the middle of the book.
Aureliano. So like Golden Boy. Golden Boy, good
Yeah.
morning.
So
Okay.
if you look at this sentence and break it down, I'm going to give you the basic important points of this. First of all, it's not foreshadowing anything. It's pretending to foreshadow.
That
Second of
is
all,
very
it
fun.
the tenses that it includes in just this one sentence. There is future tense, present, future perfect, and past tense.
I haven't heard some of those words in 20 plus years.
Yeah. So all of those tenses and grammatical, like they tell you all the time to stay consistent with your tense. No. Uh, Marquez looks at that and goes, "But why? That's boring."
But I can do better.
Um,
Watch me sink this three-pointer from the upper story window with these rules.
when researching this, the same quote from Red versus Blue kept popping into my head over and over. Timeline? But time is not a line. Time is made out of circles. That is why clocks are round.
Oh, caboose.
Oh, dear sweet caboose.
So,
I
that
mean,
is,
I mean, my personal favorite quote from that series is Washington screaming, and you know his helmet mic is muted, but you can still hear him, so you know he's blowing his vocal cords out.
thank you for muffling that.
You're welcome.
Yes.
So anyway, there's like it's very much highlighting that linear narrative is not the only way to tell a story.
Mhm.
There's a lot of looking forward and looking back. The family is always looking to the future, trying to push to the future, or reflecting back on the past. There's no being in the present. They're very trapped in the nostalgia of remembering the good from the past and wishing for a better future. This creates a very dreamy vibe to the whole book. Then we get into the actual characters, and this is where I have the majority of my notes because it is a story about a family, and the people are really the heart of this story. However,
Oh boy.
this is the part where you should probably have the family tree pulled up
Yeah.
because this family has problems.
Whoa.
No.
Whoa.
Yeah, you found it?
Yeah, I did. I'm not
What
happy,
do you
but I did.
notice? I'm not happy that I did.
The
It's
first
useful.
the first generation is a circle.
Oh, sweet, merciful Jesus!
Ben now sees it.
And
Um,
it doesn't really get better from there.
No, it.
no, it really doesn't. So essentially what we are going to do now is I'm going to explain this family tree, and that will essentially tell you the story of the book. Because if I try to go about it any other way, it will make no sense.
Okay.
That's scary.
So this is the Buendia family. There was one commenter that I kind of would love to delve into her theory a little more, that each generation represents one of the 7 deadly sins because there are 7 generations and all of them have these vices. You can find the 7 deadly sins throughout, and Ursula is the only one who actually presents the 7 virtues. Ursula is the only character that goes basically from the beginning to the end of the story.
Is she the matriarch?
Yes, until a certain point. She is very much like the heart and center of this family and this story. And she is trying very hard to keep them all from going crazy.
I'm sure that's a
Yes.
losing battle.
Keep
Yeah.
that from happening. Okay.
So our founders, Jose Arcadio Buendia and Ursula Iguaran, they are cousins. So we're already starting with a problem.
Major
because
problem.
Incest kind of haunts this story.
Oh.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I...
Oh, no. You can't get through this story without talking about it.
Clearly.
Because it's actually a huge narrative thing that, like, Ursula is terrified of incest being their downfall. And so she's constantly inviting people into their home and inviting people to be in this village because she doesn't want their family to become so insular that they fall apart. Because she heard a prophecy that they were going to be destroyed by their sin, and she sees incest as their family's main sin. It's actually a very ironic twist that, like, family closeness is the thing she's most terrified of tearing the family apart.
Yeah, I can see why.
We're gonna have several moments in here where the incest comes back. It's a thing. Um,
Hmm.
Jose founds the city or the town of Macondo after he goes into self-imposed exile for killing Prudencio Aguilar. Prudencio insulted him and he stabbed him through the neck. And so Jose was like, "Peace out, I'm gone." Took Ursula with him, and they founded this town. Um,
Off to a bit of a rough start, but all right.
lot of tragedy here. Jose also constantly chooses solitude. He is constantly choosing to go off on his own to research. He's trying to build a perpetual motion machine. He wants to pursue a better future for his family and his people. So he's constantly isolating himself to do that.
Bro's trying to become H.G. Wells.
A little bit. Um,
It's one of those self-defeating pursuits because if you want to do right by your family, you can't cut them off.
yeah, it's essentially that theory that he's trying to make a better future for his family, but missing out on actually experiencing his family.
Mm-hmm.
Stupido.
See, there's the town kind of mimics the state of the family as this goes on. So in this first generation, they're very isolated, very naive, very idyllic. Everything seems to be going well. These two have three biological children: Jose Arcadio,
Junior.
uh, Aureliano Buendia, who becomes Colonel Aureliano Buendia, and Amaranta. They also adopt Rebecca, who is a Romani girl that eats a lot of mud and causes a plague.
What the hell?
Uh, she is their adopted child. They causes an insomnia plague. It is not a plague like anything we've been. It's basically just no one sleeps for like 2 months.
That
It's a-
sounds
And
unhelpful.
their biggest issue there is that they start losing their memory because of it. So they're
Yeah.
constantly writing things down. Um,
Oy vey.
so Jose Arcadio the first is obsessed with writing everything's name on things so that you wouldn't forget what everything was. But then he realizes that just because you know the name of something, you wouldn't necessarily know its purpose. So he starts writing full on like notes of what everything is. And it's very much that reflection of humanity and historians and trying to constantly remember. But we can't keep moving forward if all we're doing is remembering.
Oh boy.
Okay, I can. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
there is a character who's not in the family, Melquiades, who
Run that by me again?
Melquiades.
Your Spanish accent inflection is really playing heck with my comprehension skills.
Well, I heard several white people call him Melquiades.
Excuse me while I go punch a hole in a wall. Anyway.
He is a Romani leader. He's the leader of the troop of Romani that keep coming in and out. And he decides that he doesn't want to go out in the world and die alone, so he decides to move into the town and starts writing prophecies about this family in Sanskrit.
Okay.
Says that no one must know the meaning of this prophecy until he has reached 100 years of age, which is more about the prophecy itself reaching 100 years of age, not the person reading it. So it's very much like after 100 years have passed, someone might understand this. It's a lot of coded lines of poetry. It's not the way it's described, it's not in the order of man's conventional time, but had concentrated a century of daily episodes in such a way that they coexisted in one instant. Kind of like the book we're reading. So the book kind of self-references in this process.
Also kind of like 2001: A Space Odyssey and the Obelisk.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
I don't remember when that came out. If that would have been influenced by this.
Probably.
Probably. So let me get into generation 2. As the second generation is growing up, one of the big highlights in their time period is that the railroad comes in and they get a railroad connection between them and the outside world. So now they start seeing some of the politics, some of the colonizers, the capitalism, things like that are starting to leak in through visiting people on this railroad. Um, Jose Arcadio the second runs away. The sisters get into a big fight, really just kind of lose everything. Um, Colonel Aureliano, who is their second son, he has this child bride, Remedios, that dies, and he doesn't really care. Realizes he can't feel love.
Oh boy.
Jose comes back after having run away and steals Rebecca, his adopted sister, to try and have a marriage with her. Ursula's very upset about this because no, we can't even have anything that seems mildly like incest. She may not be blood related, but she's your adopted sister. We're not letting this happen. So that freaks everyone out. Jose Arcadio, our second Jose Arcadio, and Colonel Aureliano Buendia both sleep with this woman, Pilar Temera, who is a brothel keeper and tarot card reader, and they each have a son with her.
Oh,
Colonel Aureliano also has 17 Aurelianos as children. That's the giant pile of illegitimate Aurelianos in the corner.
What the hell?
just on a whim, just gonna go have
All of them are
17
named
kids
Aureliano.
Good night.
because he has no ego.
No, none whatsoever.
The conservative colonist people come in and try to take over, and Colonel Aureliano becomes a leader of the liberal rebellion faction. His failed execution is kind of the climax of that generation, where they try to kill him and it just doesn't work. And then he loses his respect for the town and leaves.
Okay.
But this kind of starts the level of war that Generation 3 is just overwhelmed by.
Oh boy.
Gen 3 is born into war and raised in war and constantly dealing with rebellions and infighting and wars and things like that going on. Gen 3 Arcadio, and yes, I am going to be referencing them like Pokemon.
Yeah.
So do we ever get a shiny?
No.
No.
Oh. Okay.
Well,
hey, it was a legitimate
no.
question after what she
We
said.
might. Gen 7 might give us a shiny.
Oh, for God's sake. These two nerds.
So when the colonel leaves, his nephew, Arcadio, who is the son of Jose and Pilar, becomes a dictator. So he was originally very scholarly, very relaxed, and then he puts his uncle puts him in charge, and he becomes a violent dictator that everyone hates.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Aureliano Jose, his cousin, who's the son of the colonel, and his half brother,
it really is the Targaryen family tree.
Well, he has a massive crush on his aunt from Gen 2, Amarantha. He tries not to fall in love with her, but doesn't. It doesn't go well.
Oh no!
And when she cuts off their affair, he falls apart and gets killed in a rebel attack.
Okay.
So Arcadio is the one who leads us to Gen 4. So he marries Santa Sofia de la Piedad. And I apologize if any of my pronunciations are off. I'm Swedish.
I'm Scottish. I can't do much better.
So they have 3 children. They have twin boys, Jose Arcadio Segundo and Aureliano Segundo.
Even though they're technically the
third
or fourth.
Yep. Part of the reason why this name keeps popping up is that there are character traits that go with these names that kind of keep, all of the Arcadios are very violent and angry. All of the Aurelianos are very scholarly and isolationist. It's a whole thing. It makes reading the book really complicated because it's also not told in a linear fashion. So if you're not keeping track, they all kind of blend together.
I feel like that was intentional.
Yes. because the
Mm-hmm.
generations that don't learn from their past are doomed to repeat the mistakes of their past. Generational Trauma, the book.
That's the book we all didn't know we needed.
So the twins are, we're going to dig into them in a minute, but the first thing we're going to talk about is Remedios the Beauty, who is their sister.
Mm-hmm.
She is a fascinating little side character with her own story, and the note I have here is that her beauty drives men to their deaths. She doesn't understand it. She's very innocent and childlike all about it, and one day she floats up to heaven and disappears from the story.
The fuck?
That's just
Just
that is her contribution to
peace,
the
I'm done
narrative.
with y'all.
Yeah, basically.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
No, thanks.
I don't blame her with everything that's about to
I
happen.
I don't blame her with
I
everything that's
can't.
already happened.
I was about to say the same thing.
So during this time frame, capitalism comes to Macondo.
Oh shit.
Oh, yay, capitalism.
Ugh.
So, the banana company shows up to start a banana plantation and exploit the workers. It's very harsh. It reflects what was happening in Colombia in general. In fact, it's based on an actual issue with, I want to say it was the American Fruit Company.
Of course it was.
There was a real event in Latin America that's called the Banana Massacre because
I'm trying real hard not to laugh at that name.
I know.
Yeah.
During this time period, there's an overinflation of prosperity, and the way it's described is very much like there's a plague of wealth and health and prosperity because they are just constantly producing more. Aureliano Segundo and his mistress Petra uh, inspire the livestock to constantly procreate with how much they love
Oh.
each other.
Hmm.
Uh,
What?
Yeah. However, no one in this generation is happy, even though they have everything and everything is being, they're constantly making more, earning more. There's money, there's food, there's abundance, but it's not bringing them joy.
As in all unregulated capitalist things,
Yeah,
profit outstrips everything and you can't keep up and eventually it implodes.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have the Banana Company Massacre, which is where it's based on a real event in Latin America where the workers at this banana plantation tried to strike for because of unfair working conditions, and instead of actually solving the problem, the owners of the plantation just killed them all.
Wow.
Well, they sent in the Colombian army.
Yes. And so in the book, Jose Arcadio Segundo uh, is the only survivor of this. And the government covers up the losses. The entire
Damn, I'm looking this up. This happened like barely over 100 years ago.
Yeah. No, honey, we're in the mid 1900s here.
Oh, ugh.
Did that not register?
I didn't realize we were that far ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So Jose Arcadio Segundo is the only survivor of this massacre, and he's one of the people who led them into the strike. And he's the only person who, quote unquote, remembers the truth of what happened because the government's covered everything up, and everyone in town believes the government cover up.
Of course they do.
So he very much loses his mind to isolation and feeling alone as the only person who remembers and processes this massive citywide trauma. This is also the point where Ursula, our matriarch from the beginning, is losing her influence over the family. Fernanda, Aureliano's wife, she is trying to take over as the matriarch during this time. So the other thing Ben just pointed out, because I lost it in the process, the magical element of this banana massacre is that after they throw all the bodies in the ocean, it rains in Macondo for 4 years, 11 months, and 2 days.
Damn.
Almost as if the city itself is crying and mourning this loss. It floods everything. It just kind of, it's that overabundance coming back to them.
And I'm assuming it ruins the crop. And
Oh yeah.
okay.
A
little heavy-handed with the symbolism, but
hey man, gotta do what you gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So Fernanda is Aureliano's wife, and she is very religious and very puritanical. She sends her children away to be educated away from the town. She isolates the family. She's very obsessed with purity. She boards up the house and keeps outsiders away. So where Ursula was inviting people in and trying to be hospitable and take care of the town itself, Fernanda's like, no, we don't want any of that riffraff here. We're better than that.
Because that's going to end well.
Well, yeah, it's kind of the problem here is that leads to them not knowing the problems that their families had in the past and falling into similar problems.
Oh boy.
Her husband does not love her. He's constantly cheating with Petra. It's a whole saga in and of itself. Though he and Fernanda have 3 children. Renata Remedios, also known as Meme.
That is easier to say.
Amaranta Ursula, and Jose Arcadio.
Is that what is that? The 4th one now?
I've lost track. That is our generation 5.
Is those 3?
Is those 3, yes. And all of them are sent away as children to be raised and experience the outside world and then come back to Macondo. And that leads to problems too.
I'm sure.
For instance, Renata goes off and falls in love and has an affair before she's married and gets pregnant. Amaranta Ursula has a Belgian husband that she's estranged from. They just don't understand the family as they come back. They don't have any exposure to their family history, so they don't know the flaws that their family has been through and the mistakes that they've made. And Meme, her child, who give you 3 guesses as to what his name is.
I mean, it's going to be, I'm sure we've heard it before.
Yep.
It's
flip a coin.
Jose or Aureliano.
It's going to be one of those two.
Since Jose Arcadio is in the previous generation, we're gonna do
Aureliano
this time.
Of course it is.
Her illegitimate son is Aureliano, and Fernanda takes him and isolates him from everyone in the stories in the family because she's ashamed of him. He is this like stain on the family, so he doesn't get to know any of the family problems. He's cut off from them, and so he inevitably repeats all of the same vices as his ancestors.
Oh boy.
So he has all of the solitude problems of isolating himself. He's studying the prophecies that the Romani leader wrote down. He's trying to translate them. He has an incestuous relationship with his aunt, who he doesn't know is his aunt.
Yeah.
Oh, Troy.
He is constantly sleeping around in brothels. He is basically the embodiment of all of the problems that they have had.
All the vices distilled into one.
Yes.
Poor schmuck.
Yes. So, meanwhile, if you go back to Ursula, the very first Ursula.
Yes.
Who I'm assuming is in like her 90s at this point.
Yeah. Before she dies, like, there's this whole thing. She is obsessed with the fact that she doesn't want the family to be cursed and fall apart. And she has been told, I think in a prophecy somewhere, in a tarot card reading somewhere, that their family would end with the child born with a pig's tail. And so her belief is that if they avoid incest, that won't happen.
Whoops.
Too late.
So
that ship done sailed.
Unfortunately, by isolating Aureliano, he ends up falling in love with his aunt, and they have a baby.
And let me guess, the little bastard has a pig's tail.
Yep. This is our
Who could
Jen
have
Sully.
seen that one coming?
We'll call this Shiny Aureliano because he doesn't live that long. And
Aureliano EX evolution.
Oh, you're terrible.
He is born and Amarantha Ursula dies, and while like his father Aureliano is mourning the loss of his aunt wife, he, the house
Shouldn't
begins to
laugh.
collapse. The home begins to collapse, and it
Right.
falls apart around them, and the baby is killed in this tragic accident.
Oh, so the house literally falls apart.
Yes. Symbolism in this is not
Wow.
hidden.
I guess
No.
not.
So literally this kid is born and symbolizes the collapse of the family, and then the home and everyone dies around him. And then Aureliano, his father, that he reads the prophecies and he finally understands them. And by finally understanding them, he realizes that all of this was doomed to happen.
But it wasn't.
Everything that happened was already pre-written.
Self-fulfilling prophecies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate those.
But nobody knew what the prophecy said, so it wasn't like they were trying to fulfill them. It was just their entire life story had already been written. And the moment he understands them, when the book ends, literally, then a hurricane comes in and destroys the whole town and kills him, ending the family.
And
Well,
scene.
You know, all I have to say at the end of this all is remember, kids, the 7 deadly sins is not a checklist.
I mean,
yeah, no, I got nothing. That's
despite the fun rhyming nature of the phrase, incest is not in fact wincest.
Nor is it best.
Well, that was an experience.
So, a couple of wrap-up notes. Again, story. Beautiful, tragic reflection of humanity and our flaws and all of those things. Highly recommend reading it. Despite the incest. And also, recently, and by recently I mean like in the past 5 years, if you haven't been living under a rock, you know that Disney came out with a movie that is mildly based on this.
Just a little bit.
Mildly?
You're kind of underselling it, babe.
So if you hadn't noticed, take away the incest of it all, and even just the majority of the bloody warfare. Not even all of it. There's still a guy on a horse with a machete coming to kill everyone. And you get Encanto.
I'm gonna go put my head through a wall. I'll be right back.
Encanto was also set in Colombia, and it was very intentional on the part of the filmmakers that they were pulling from magical realism. When I first saw the movie, I cried, partially because it's a fantastic movie and is just beautifully done, and the humanity and storytelling, yay. But also because it was the first time I'd ever seen magical realism portrayed in an accessible way. Because if you hadn't noticed, magical realism is kind of hard to understand.
Just a bit.
And Encanto, to me, as a movie, is a really great way to explain it to people. Because it's magic is there, but they treat it as their everyday.
Because it is.
Yeah. And it's not there to be the main point of the story. The main point of the story is the people.
Yeah.
The magic is just there to highlight.
It's a narrative device.
Yeah. Think the phrase. I had a phrase that I wrote at one point. Yes, magical realism exists not to escape from reality, but to explain it. And that's what Encanto does a lot of, is it's using that magic to show how important the family ties are, how important all of that is. It's not using it to give you this otherworldly escape.
Interesting.
They even show, like in the grandma's backstory, they show them being chased down by men with machetes. It's not like, it is very much a Colombian story and shows the war and the rebellions and the violence that has influenced those
I was
people.
about to say, which war? There's been a lot of them down there.
Yeah. So in general, I recommend that if you want a overall happier version of this story,
Low bar to dig out of the
with
ground and trip over.
even some hope, go watch Encanto. It's also easier. It's a
Even
great
some.
gateway to magical realism. If you've never experienced it as a genre before, you have if you've watched Encanto.
I suddenly feel much smarter and much dumber at the same time.
Every week you say this.
Because it's true!
I feel like it might be your catchphrase.
That's one of them. I got a few going.
I think Jordan's is just what the fuck.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
We do not have any fan mail this week, as much as I would love to read out more fan mail. I do have the texts from my English professor saying that I am allowed to talk about magical realism, and I am allowed to write magical realism if I ever want to in the future, because I am educated enough and have enough influence that it would not be offensive.
Yay?
Yes, I feel special.
Definitely congratulations on that one.
Basically, it's the I'm not so white that I'm a problem.
Oh, you're a problem, just not that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next week, what are we looking at? Oh, next week we're sticking with the horror. Actually, we're going to be doing horror for a little bit now.
A couple of months early.
And what is the horror next week?
Next week, we're going to be talking about a short story and probably still spend more time on it than we did today. We're going to be talking about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, boy!
Oh no.
So, which of you is going to be which is the real question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ben's going to be the murdery one.
Shit.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we hope that you either learned something or had a great time enjoying this delve into Latin American literature. I would love to continue broadening our horizons with things across the spectrum of world literature, so if you have any suggestions, please let me know. If you have any requests, you can email them to englishmajorpod@gmail.com.
Or if you just want to say something funny and have us read it on the podcast.
You certainly can do that, too. You can also find us anywhere that you find podcasts. If you've made it this far, you've already found us somewhere. So
Spotify,
YouTube,
Apple Podcasts, Amazon, wherever fine or not so fine podcasts are found.
We also have a Facebook page where I do post things every now and then, including pictures of the editing team, which is my cats. And I will be posting the family tree of the Buendias before this episode goes up, so people have that visual aid if they want it.
It will be helpful.
And then I just yes.
Well, yes and no.
It will be helpful. I will also post short clips every now and then, and I'm trying to just grow a little community there. You also can message us there. And then I'm working on getting us Patreon.
Woohoo! Money!
Also exclusives. I think we
Indeed.
might do some gaming streaming or something like that on them as well.
That'll be fun.
It will.
Especially considering the games in our Steam libraries.
No.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
2 words. Skatebird.
3 words.
My.
Viscera cleanup detail.
Okay, you win.
Yeah, but sadly they fixed most of the bullet dancing now.
What? No.
Damn it.
I refuse.
And on that note...
Remember, last time we played, There wasn't as much.
Well, that's because we had better computers.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Just nerf the internet. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
All right. Thank you all for listening.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you all.